Hello art beaters, Becky here with a new video and I hope you enjoy. If you want to keep up to date on all things art beads, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel right now. Enjoy! Hello art beaters, welcome to the video. We have so many beautiful things to look at today. I'm so excited to dive into all of the pretty stuff that we have. I'm Becky with artbeads.com if you're new here, and we go live every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time to share awesome new things that have just launched on our website, artbeads.com, jewelry inspiration, because we have tons of jewelry inspiration from our design studio, and all of our jewelry inspiration comes with free instructions and a supplies list on our website, so you can make those pieces for yourselves too. And we have just got so many pretty things to look at today, so I'm super excited to dive in. And the sun is shining, spring is here, so it's just a great day. So I did a video a few weeks ago all about explaining just seed beads, the different styles and shapes that we have of seed beads, and that was a really popular video, so I thought I would build on that and talk about the different seed bead stitches that we have instructions, videos, PDF diagrams, and design studio inspiration for. I've got a great blog post explaining all of those seed bead stitches and providing all of those instructions and tutorials for you. So I thought I would also explain those amazing seed bead stitches in this video. So we have lots to dive into, and I hope that you guys are ready for some amazing jewelry inspiration. And don't forget to leave your comments, say hi, so I know that you're watching and I know that you're here, and we can chat while we take a look at all of this amazing jewelry. Now, in a previous video, I explained all about our different seed bead types, styles, and sizes. So today, I thought I would talk about all of the different seed bead stitches that we have, tutorials, PDF diagrams, videos for on our website. And we have a lot, and I've compiled them all into this one blog post called Your Guide to Seed Bead Stitches. So I have a link to that in the video description, as well as links for everything you see here. All of these jewelry pieces live in our design studio with free instructions, including diagrams and videos most of the time, and supplies lists. So these are in our design studio, and I just wanted to give you some seed bead stitching inspiration because seed bead stitching is my favorite. I love brick stitch, and I am on a Peyote Stitch kick right now. One of my personal projects that I'm working on right now is making Peyote Stitch tapestries of the 6 wives of King Henry VIII. Don't ask me how I got onto that, but I'm having a lot of fun with that, and they're turning out so pretty. So I'm really loving Peyote Stitch and brick stitch right now. But let's start with a basic ladder stitch. Now, ladder stitch is a foundational stitch for stitches like brick stitch, and I'm just going to show you with these cube beads I have here kind of how to start the ladder stitch, because this is really how you're going to start your brick stitch, and it's a very basic, and it's also going to help you start the square stitch. So all you do is you're going to start with two beads on your needle and thread, and then you're going to go back through that first bead that you added, and then you're going to pull tight. And so now the beads are going to be stacked up, kind of like a ladder if you're looking at it this way. So they're stacked up, the holes are pointed up, so you're going to take your needle and go back down through that second one. So, and that's basically it. So super easy to start, and then if you want to add more, let's say you have like more than 2 beads for your first row of brick stitch or square stitch, you just add 1 bead at a time for any additional beads in that first row. So I've got 1 bead here on my needle, and then I'm going to go back through the top of that second bead and then pull tight, and that's ladder stitch. And then you go up through the last bead added, and then you can just keep adding as many as you need. So that's super easy. So that's ladder stitch. We do have tutorials for that on our website. Again, very foundational stitch. This is how you're going to start that brick stitch, how you're going to start your square stitch. Really good to know how that ladder stitch works. I'm trying not to pick up all these stickies with my sleeves. I better roll my sleeves up. We mean serious business with these seed beads. Okay, so once you know ladder stitch, you can do stitches like square stitch and brick stitch. Square stitch, super beautiful. It's an alternative to looming. It kind of has the same orientation as a loomed piece, but it's a stitch, so you don't need a loom. So you could make a similar look as a loomed piece, but you're just stitching instead. And this is a bracelet I made with one of our Art Beads designer seed bead blends. Our seed bead blends are great for trying out new stitches because they've got the perfect colors already blended together. And I just added some fun little tiara cast embellishments because they have really nice stitch-in components that make it easy to add little embellishments like that. So square stitch is another great one. One of my favorites, brick stitch. So this is one I was saying where ladder stitch is really the foundation of brick stitch, and you just kind of add on brick by brick. As the name implies, and you can increase that stitch and decrease that stitch. So this is an example of an increased brick stitch where the rows get progressively wider, more beads, and then it's decreased here where the rows get progressively less beads, and then it's finished with tassels. So you can make really fun geometric shapes with brick stitch, but you can also make pretty much any shape that you want, like this brick stitch little goldfish. So easy to do, really nice. Love brick stitch, super easy, super fun, relaxing stitch to do. And you can even make some fun brick stitch pieces with different seed bead shapes and sizes. Cynthia's made some great brick stitch bracelets with bugle beads, round seed beads, square seed beads, and each row is kind of a different seed bead shape. So that's a lot of fun to play with too. All kinds of brick stitch ideas out there. And then kind of the next step up from brick stitch is peyote stitch. And there are quite a few different peyote stitch techniques. Even count peyote stitch is probably the easiest one to approach first. So that means that there is an even number of rows in your peyote stitch. So as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beads wide in this peyote stitch. So this is an even count peyote stitch. Even count and odd count are very similar. It's just how you finish the ends of each row is a little different for the stitches. Again, we have tutorials, videos, PDF diagrams for all of these stitches that you can find all compiled together in a wonderful list in that blog post, Your Guide to Seed Bead Stitches. So I highly encourage you to check that out. And so really fun ways. If you'll notice, brick stitch and peyote stitch look similar, but the way you stitch them is a little different. So you can kind of see that this way, if you turn your brick stitch this way, it's staggered like peyote stitch, but you're not stitching in a staggered pattern when you're brick stitching. It's all row by row, straight lines. Peyote stitch, you're doing staggered rows, row by row. So the rows are staggered as you go. You're stitching this way, not this way. Again, our diagrams make it a lot easier to comprehend, and our videos as well. So this is a really lovely example of even count peyote stitch. It's even finished with a cute little beaded toggle clasp there. So really sweet. And then similar to even count peyote stitch, you have odd count peyote stitch. Odd count, you can guess probably an odd number of beads wide, and it's going to have a center point. So really great for making designs, patterns that have a center point. Like this little ring here has an arrow. So you need odd count peyote to make that arrow the center of your design. So they are similar in the technique, just the ending is going to be different on one side because you have that odd number of beads. The turn is going to be different on that odd side. And then once you've mastered even count and odd count peyote, you can really get creative. There's 2-drop peyote stitch. So similar technique to peyote stitch, except you're using two seed beads per stitch. So this one, you can see this is a 2-drop peyote stitch. It's staggered with 2 beads each. and then it was turned sideways to make this cute little pendant for this necklace. Again, there's links to all of these projects in the video description. So that's 2-drop peyote stitch, and then you can even do 3, 4, 5-drop peyote stitch. This is 3-drop peyote stitch, and the drops are color blocked to make this fun kind of square pattern. So really fun, all kinds of different fun things you could do with peyote stitch. Once you've got flat peyote stitch down, you could progress to tubular peyote stitch. You could even start with tubular peyote stitch. So this is an example of that. So it makes a nice little seed bead rope. And then a variation of that is making a peyote stitch bead cap. So sometimes maybe you need a bead cap for a tassel or something else, and you don't have any bead caps like made of metal. Never fear, you can make your own out of beads. So this is a peyote stitch bead cap. So super fun way to kind of add some seed beads to your bead cap looks. And you can also make peyote stitch bezels that will hold fancy stones like this that do not have a stringing hole, but you definitely want to showcase them in a meaningful way in your jewelry designs. You can make a peyote stitch bezel around them, and this one is finished with a simple flat peyote stitch ring shank. So peyote stitch will take you far, that is for sure. And another variation of the tubular peyote stitch is Cellini spiral stitch. So this is technically a tubular peyote, but you're using different bead sizes within that technique to create this spiraled look. And as you can see from this bracelet, this spiral is going one way. You can reverse the spiral another way to make a center point. So that's another fun variation on tubular peyote, the Cellini spiral stitch. Such a beautiful stitch, really great for statement pieces. Another stitch that we love is the flat herringbone stitch. This is a really fun one, and it's got a really nice look to it, and it feels good too. So you can kind of see that it consists of paired beads that kind of nest into a V with each other. So that's a really fun stitch there. This bracelet features a couple different seed bead shapes to make that lovely herringbone stitch. Again, there's tutorials, videos, diagrams for all of these stitches in our blog post, Your Guide to Seed Bead Stitches. And then once you've got that flat herringbone stitch down, you could do a tubular herringbone stitch. This is a tubular herringbone stitch, and it's also a twisted tubular herringbone stitch. So you can kind of see it's got a twisted look, and that has to do with how the stitch is done. You could do this where it's more of a straight tube, or you could do it twisted like this. And I just love that little mermaid charm that's added to this twisted tubular herringbone piece. So pretty. I love tubular herringbone. That's another fun one, and that's a one that works up really quickly once you've got the hang of it. So that's a really fun seed bead rope technique. Then we get into right angle weave. So this is a right angle weave bracelet, and this is kind of a circular stitch. So you're kind of going in a circle and adding as you go. So really nice effect on that stitch too. Love that. And then once you've got that down, you can do the cubic right angle weave, also known as craw. So right angle weave, you can also call raw. Cubic right angle weave, you can also call craw. So this is cubic right angle weave. So it's that same kind of circular motion, but in a rope. Really pretty. Love that. And as you can see, you don't have to limit yourself to just seed beads. You can try these technique with other beads. This one is done with crystal pearls and bicones. So all kinds of different things you can do with all of those wonderful stitches. Yay! We've also got some great spiral stitches that you can try. Flat spiral rope is super easy. This is a fun Christmassy take on the flat spiral rope. It's just got these cute little spiral seed beads that highlight those center beads here. And you can do double rows of this as well. And we also have more of a tubular spiral rope stitch variation of this stitch as well. Again, head to that blog, Your Guide to Seed Bead Stitches, to see all of the variations of this simple spiral rope stitch. And then we also have the Russian spiral stitch, which is a really traditional spiral rope stitch. You can see it just spirals, spirals. It's so pretty. And this is another one that works up really fast. I love the rainbow design on this one. Hi, Danielle. I'm seeing some of your comments come through. Again, feel free to leave comments. Mine are not showing all of them, but I will go back later and look at all of your comments. I love to see what you guys have to say. So Russian spiral stitch is another really fun one. I've got a whole nother tray of stitches to show you guys, so hang tight. Let's see. We've got dot stitch. Dot stitch is another fun little stitch. This stitch kind of enables you to make beaded beads. So this is the dot stitch here, just incorporated into that strand of seed beads to make little beaded beads throughout your strand. So that's another fun one. So we love the dot stitch as well, have videos and diagrams for that one too. Then you get into your kind of embellishment stitches. So these are kind of stitches that you can use to embellish all kinds of different looks. You can use them to embellish peyote stitch, brick stitch, loomed work, kumihimo, bead embroidery. They just are really great embellishment stitches. So this is an example of picot edge. So the picot edge is great for something like a peyote stitch bracelet like this, or a loomed bracelet where you've got straight edges here where the seed bead holes are all facing out to the edge. So what you would do is you take your thread up through here, add 3 seed beads, maybe more if you want your picot edge to be bigger, and then come through the next seed bead. This is another great stitch for using something like super unos or dagger beads if you want that more fringy look on your edge. So it's just 3 seed beads, go through the next seed bead. Come up, 3 seed beads, go through the next seed bead. So that's a picot edge, really easy way to embellish your stitches. It really adds something extra, especially to something like a peyote stitch bracelet. You've just got that nice little edge there to add more texture, more color, more shine. So really beautiful. Seed bead fringe is another really fun embellishment and very popular for earrings like these. So this is just increasing brick stitch, and then you've just got fringe added to make a fun pattern full of movement. These earrings are so fun to wear because they move and shine and gleam. They're so pretty. So seed bead fringe is another great little embellishment stitch, especially for earrings. So popular right now. Really pretty. And then we've got a really fun embellishment stitch, the coraling technique. This one is amazing. So this is a kumihimo necklace, and the coraling branches are just added. You just add a seed bead, make some coral branches, and there's a bunch of them added to this necklace, and it just makes this beautiful coral effect. It looks like coral that you would find under the sea. And we've got different colors going on here. This is just so beautiful. Such a fun technique, so unique, perfect for something like this where you want to really showcase an amazing pendant like this. So that's another fun little embellishment stitch. And you could easily kind of work these into a rope like tubular peyote, tubular herringbone. Really fun. So that's a lovely technique. And then once you've taken a look at all of those seed bead stitches, again, I have a whole compilation of all of these stitches that I just showed you in our Guide to Seed Bead Stitches blog. Then you can start to play with making your own patterns for these stitches. And we do have Art Beads graph paper free on our website, printable, so you can print them out, and we have them for different stitches and for different beads like round beads and cylinder beads. So this is our square stitch graph paper, so you can make some square stitch designs. We have peyote stitch graph paper for cylinder beads and round beads, and it even explains the difference between odd count and even count. Really nice graph paper. So you can color these in with your own patterns and then stitch them up. So you can make your own patterns with our graph papers. So check those out. This is our brick stitch with cylinder beads graph paper. I've used this one time and time again to make my own patterns. Really great paper, graph paper that we offer for free. You can print out, download it for free, and then print it out as many times as you need to make all your pretty seed bead patterns. So Love, love, love the graph paper. And we have ones for loom, all kinds of different peyote or seed bead graph paper. Really nice. So don't miss those if you haven't used them before, because they're a lot of fun. And it's really relaxing to just kind of play and color in your own patterns. And oh, maybe that one didn't work, so you do another one, and you can draw little shapes for your brick stitch creatures. Just there's so much creativity and so much fun you can have with these. So once you've gotten all those seed bead stitches down, make sure to check out our graph paper. We have lots of seed bead stitches for you to learn. And don't miss, I also put up a Seed Beads Explained blog to go along with that video I made a couple weeks ago. So you can learn about all of the different seed bead shapes and sizes and styles that we offer. So you can have fun shopping for the seed beads that you want to use in all these pretty stitches.